Are you punk? Gotta find a link to a story. Hey, I don't know if you know this, but I don't do a lot of the videos on demand. They're not my speed necessarily, but once a week we try to do something special for the folks who can't make it to the normal streams. And we read a little bit of a novel or a short story or a book or a letter. I hope you like letters. Boy, there's a lot of letters in books these days. Oh, and characters too. Boy, I could spend all day in a drawer of little pieces of type just playing with the lead, licking it. It's fantastic stuff. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, lead poisoning. It's got out of fashion, unfortunately, lately, but whatever. Anyway, it's me, the Beetlejuice. We're going to read a book. Hope you like gestures broadly. Yeah, the sky's giving up. Oh, just kidding. It's the stars. Stars are here. Hi, stars. It's me, your pal, the Beetlejuice. Anyway, where were we? Yeah. Let's get this all set up here. Can't do any music on the stream with the reading, because then the VOD has problems. So yeah, I gotta deal with that. And yeah, we're gonna save that. There you go, YouTube. There you go. Okay, let's see. What else do we have to do to set up the stream? What else do we have to do? Oh yeah, we gotta post a link to the thing we're reading. We'll get to that in a minute. What else? Before we post that link, let's go ahead and post this other one here, just as a reminder. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. We are currently, according to my scrap of paper that we're writing on, because we don't have an abacus right now, we are currently $16 away. I have the number 16, then I have the number 34. Did I already figure out? Yeah, I don't know. Well, no, yeah, we got another. Yeah. Okay, no, we are $16 away from the next face camera expansion milestone. Enjoy my paper-based math calculations, everybody. Everybody enjoy it. Okay. So where was I? I feel like I had a thing that we were going to do. We're going to read a story. We're going to post the tipping link. Posted the tipping link in one thing, but not the other. There we go. There you go. YouTube, you got the link now, too. Okay, then we got to make sure we got the Discord chat open for the Patreon patrons. $5 a month gets you in the Discord for chatting. $10 a month gets you on the Minecraft servers. I was just updating all the mods on the Minecraft servers and the data packs and all that. Okay. So we got, well, I say all of them. The Bleeding Edge server, the 121.5 server, just got its vanilla tweaks updated. And its armor statues things. Thank you to Mookie Tanuki for putting that on Modrinth so I don't have to go to Curseforge anymore. You know, I've been dead for several hundred years, waded through hell more times than Dante Alighieri. And, well, let me tell you, that Curseforge, don't want to deal with it if I can avoid it. So thank you for adding your little armor statues data pack, Mookie Tanuki, to the Modrinth. And I'm on the record saying that. This is the VOD stream. Okay, yeah, what are we doing? We gotta get into the novel, or the story, or the letters. Okay, alright. So, wait, is this link gonna take people directly to the appropriate thing? There we go. Okay. So I gotta post the what we're reading link. What we're reading. Bam. Copy and paste that to all three chats. Okay. Before I press enter, I'm going to take a sip of my drink. There we go. Gotta have my reading voice ready. So for those of you who don't know, when we read these stories, sometimes we do different voices for the different characters, or as we read, the narrator might have a different voice than another character, etc. Okay, so I've decided, since this book opens with a few letters, I'm going to read those with a bit of an accent. I'm not going to do this voice. We're going to try it. So here we go. The what we're reading link. We are starting with letter 1 here. Here we go. Letter 1 to Mrs. Seville, England, St. Petersburg, December 11th, 17.
You will rejoice to hear that no disaster has accompanied the commencement of an enterprise which you have regarded with such evil forebodings. I arrived here yesterday, and my first task is to assure my dear sister of my welfare and increasing confidence in the success of my undertaking. I am already far north of London, and as I walk in the streets of Petersburg, I feel a cold northern breeze play upon my cheeks, which braces my nerves and fills me with delight. Do you understand this feeling? This breeze, which has travelled from the regions towards which I am advancing, gives me a foretaste of those icy climes. Inspirited by this wind of promise, my daydreams become more fervent and vivid. I try in vain to be persuaded that the pole is the seat of frost and desolation. It ever presents itself to my imagination as the region of beauty and delight. There, Margaret, the sun is forever visible, its broad disk just skirting the horizon and diffusing a perpetual splendor. There, for with your leave, my sister, I will put some trust in preceding navigators. There, snow and frost are banished, and sailing over a calm sea, we may be wafted to a land surpassing in wonders and in beauty every region hitherto discovered on the habitable globe. Its productions and features may be without example, as the phenomena of the heavenly bodies undoubtedly are in those undiscovered solitudes. What may not be expected in a country of eternal light? I may there discover the wondrous power which attracts the needle, and may regulate 1,000 celestial observations that require only this voyage to render their seeming eccentricities consistent forever. I shall satiate my ardent curiosity with the sight of a part of the world never before visited, and may tread a land never before imprinted by the foot of man. These are my enticements, and they are sufficient to conquer all fear of danger or death, and induce me to commence this laborious voyage with the joy a child feels when he embarks in a little boat with his holiday mates on an expedition of discovery up his native river. But, supposing all these conjectures to be false, you cannot contest the inestimable benefit which I shall confer on all mankind to the last generation, by discovering a passage near the pole to those countries, to reach which at present so many months are requisite, or by ascertaining the secret of the magnet, which, if at all possible, can only be effected by an undertaking such as mine. These reflections have dispelled the agitation with which I began my letter, and I feel my heart glow with an enthusiasm which elevates me to heaven, for nothing contributes so much to tranquilize the mind as a steady purpose. A point on which the soul may fix its intellectual eye. This expedition has been the favorite dream of my early years. I have read with ardor the accounts of various voyages which have been made in the prospect of arriving at the North Pacific Ocean through the seas which surround the pole. You may remember that a history of all the voyages made for the purposes of discovery composed the whole of our good Uncle Thomas's library. My education was neglected, yet I was passionately fond of reading. These volumes were my study day and night, and my familiarity with them increased that regret which I had felt as a child on learning that my father's dying injunction had forbidden my uncle to allow me to embark on a seafaring life. These visions faded when I perused, for the first time, those poets whose effusions entranced my soul and lifted it to heaven. I also became a poet, and for 1 year lived in a paradise of my own creation. I imagined that I also might obtain a niche in the temple where the names of Homer and Shakespeare are consecrated. You are well acquainted with my failure, and how heavily I bore the disappointment. But just at that time I inherited the fortune of my cousin, and my thoughts were turned into the channel of their earlier bent. 6 years have passed since I resolved on my present undertaking. I can, even now, remember the hour from which I dedicated myself to this great enterprise. I commenced by inuring my body to hardship. I accompanied the whale fishers on several expeditions to the North Sea. I voluntarily endured cold, famine, thirst, and want of sleep. I often worked harder than the common sailors during the day, and devoted my nights to the study of mathematics. If I have to time you out during this, I'm just going to ban you. Don't interrupt my stream by breaking the rules. Okay, that person is now banned. Yeah, I am the only moderator today. If you roll in here and immediately break a rule with the first thing you say, I don't have time to time you out. That really threw off my flow. So here we go. I often worked harder than the common sailors during the day, and devoted my nights to the study of mathematics, the theory of medicine, and those branches of physical science from which a naval adventurer might derive the greatest practical advantage. Twice I actually hired myself as an undermate in a Greenland whaler, and acquitted myself to admiration. I must own I felt a little proud when my captain offered me the second dignity in the vessel, and entreated me to remain with the greatest earnestness. So valuable did he consider my services. And now, dear Margaret, do I not deserve to accomplish some great purpose? My life might have passed in ease and luxury, but I preferred glory to every enticement that wealth placed in my path. Oh, that some encouraging voice would answer me in the affirmative. My courage and my resolution is firm, but my hopes fluctuate, and my spirits are often depressed. I am about to proceed on a long and difficult voyage, the emergencies of which will demand all my fortitude. I am required not only to raise the spirits of others, but sometimes to sustain my own when theirs are failing. This is the most favorable period for traveling in Russia. They fly quickly over the snow in their sledges. The motion is pleasant, and, in my opinion, far more agreeable than that of an English stagecoach. The cold is not excessive if you are wrapped in furs, a dress which I have already adopted, for there is a great difference between walking the deck and remaining seated, motionless for hours, when no exercise prevents the blood from actually freezing in your veins. I have no ambition to lose my life on the post road between St. Petersburg and Archangel. I shall depart for the latter town in a fortnight or 3 weeks, and my intention is to hire a ship there, which can easily be done by paying the insurance for the owner, and to engage as many sailors as I think necessary among those who are accustomed to the whale fishing. I do not intend to sail until the month of June. And when shall I return? Ah, dear sister, how can I answer this question? If I succeed, many, many months, perhaps years, will pass before you and I may meet. If I fail, you will see me again soon, or never. Farewell, my dear, excellent Margaret. Heaven shower down blessings on you, and save me, that I may again and again testify my gratitude for all your love and kindness. Your affectionate brother, R. Walton.
And that concludes letter 1 of Frankenstein, or the Modern Prometheus, by Mary Shelley. Hope you guys like letters. There's another one coming up. But before we do, we gotta plug the PayPal? Yeah, where is that link? Yeah, we're $34 away from making my face bigger. I know y'all want to see it. Get that money in there. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. Okay, yeah. What are we doing? Open Bag 2 says,
I remember the first time I read Frankenstein being really confused and having to check the cover multiple times, thinking,
who is this dandy? And what the heck are we doing on a ship in the Arctic Sea? Yeah, excellent point, Art. Open Bag 2. Yeah, I don't know. I guess sometimes a book just starts the way it starts, I guess, right, everybody? Wow, a lot of people breaking the rules in the YouTube chat. Yeah, no yelling all caps. No yelling in all caps, please. That's going to get you timed out or banned, depending on my mood. If you actually disrupt the reading, it'll be a ban. That's kind of the rule I'm following. Somebody screwed up earlier and yelled in all caps, but I was already one sentence away from finishing, and I had it memorized, so I just clicked timeout. But yeah, get lucky or not. That's how we're doing. It's an epistolary opening, says Anna. Yes, indeed. It's a letter establishing how things are about to go. It is indeed. Okay. Yeah, there's a Beetlejuice here. Hi, personal zombie. I'm down in the lower left. Okay, yep. We need to... Okay, here's one of the things we need to do. We need to build a bed over here. I have foolishly... So this village is going to be where we're working out of for a while. Like, a while. And I am completely unprepared for that. So I guess that's... Do we have any wool? Any wool at all? No. Okay. We have red terracotta. We have ice. We have gigantic concrete powder. Okay, well, let's put this over here. Let's put that down. Okay, so we're putting the wallet away. Really, do none of these have wool in them? Probably wouldn't. Music box might. Hey, there we go. Some white wool. So we can use that in the pale oak to make a white bed. And we can put this bed... Oh, hi, sheep. Oh, this is your house. I didn't realize this was a sheep house. Sheep house. In the middle of the street. Apparently there was a bed in there. What do you know? I was gonna say, is that missing or obstructed, or will I just come out over here? I don't know. So, anyway, that was letter 1. What we're doing today while we read is we are going to be in process. Oh, good, there's skeletons in the water. Fantastic, just like I always wanted. Do I have any ranged weaponry? Yeah, here we go. Let's take out these skeletons. Got one of them. Happy Valentine's Day, skeleton. Love the Beetlejuice. Okay. That was sarcastic love. The Greeks believed there were 5 kinds of love, and the 5th one is sarcastic. You want me to name the others? Agape, Eros, and you know what? I'm too busy to recite the others. But there we go. Sarcasm is definitely in there. Definitely in there. Anyway, do we have a bucket of water in here somewhere? Or just a bucket? Honestly, yeah, any bucket would be fine at this point. Yeah, there we go. So, our pal B-Dubs has started extending the path from his area over to Hermit Holmdel. So, now it's on us to reciprocate by extending a path in the opposite direction. We're going to be working on that some while we read today. How's my armor? Oh, boy, that is not doing great on the elytra front there. Might be time for a good old bottle of enchanting. How's the elytra? It's doing okay enough. Are we done setting up the stream yet? I don't know. Gotta think about it. Well, the elytra's repaired. We've got a bed now. So we have a bed and an elytra. And we have a bucket. So yeah, the big things we need are we need to get that out of our offhand. We're going to use the bucket to clear a path for the path. So you can't just make a path in Minecraft through grass blocks. So we're going to clear out the grass blocks by using water. Well, that was really successful. Yay, and then we'll come over here and do the same thing. I feel like I could probably do this while I read. It's not too complicated. And we've got a whole path that we need to make that's going to link from B-Dubs' thing over to our thing. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get on that now. Hey, Nico, thank you for the raid in the Twitch. Appreciate it, bud. Yeah, okay. Have maybe another sip of the sports drink. Because obviously I'm working up a sweat here. So anyway, I guess let's see if we can find a passage from Russia to Hawaii. I'm sure that can only go well. Let's go to letter 2. Oh wait, before we do that, I'm going to have to update the URL of what we're reading. What we're reading link. Yeah. Pinning this in every chat. Yeah. Multiple chats all the time. Unpin after. Manually at the end of the stream. Yeah, okay. Here we go. So here's letter 2 to Mrs. Seville of England. From Archangel on the 28th of March, 17-something.
How slowly the time passes here, encompassed as I am by frost and snow. Yet a second step is taken toward my enterprise. I have hired a vessel, and am occupied in collecting my sailors, whom I have already engaged. Those whom I've already engaged appear to be men on whom I can depend. and are certainly possessed of dauntless courage. But I have one want, which I have never yet been able to satisfy. The absence of the object of which I now feel as a most severe evil. I have no friend, Margaret. When I am glowing with the enthusiasm of success, there are none to participate in my joy. If I am assailed by disappointment, no one will endeavor to sustain me in dejection. I shall commit my thoughts to paper, it is true, but that is a poor medium for the communication of feeling. I desire the company of a man who could sympathize with me, whose eyes would reply to mine. You may deem me too romantic, dear sister, but I bitterly feel the want of a friend. I have no one near me, gentle yet courageous, possessed of a cultivated as well as of a capacious mind, whose tastes are like my own, to approve or amend my plans. How would such a friend repair the faults of your poor brother? I am too ardent in execution and too impatient of difficulties, but it is a still greater evil to me that I am self-educated. For the first 14 years of my life, I ran wild on a common and read nothing but Uncle Thomas's books of voyages. At that age, I became acquainted with the celebrated poets of our own country. But it was only when it ceased to be in my power to derive its most important benefits from such a conviction that I perceived the necessity of becoming acquainted with more languages than that of my native country. Now I am 28, and am in reality more illiterate than many schoolboys of 15. It is true that I have thought more, and that my daydreams are more extended and magnificent, but they want, as the painters call it, keeping. And I greatly need a friend who would have the sense enough not to despise me as romantic, and affection enough for me to endeavor to regulate my mind. Well, these are useless complaints. I shall certainly find no friend on the wide ocean, nor even here in Archangel, among merchants and seamen. Yet some feelings, unallied to the dross of human nature, beat even in these rugged bosoms. My lieutenant, for instance, is a man of wonderful courage and enterprise. He is madly desirous of glory. Or rather, to word my phrase more characteristically in the advancement of his profession, he is an Englishman, and in the midst of national and professional prejudices, unsoftened by cultivation, retains some of the noblest endowments of humanity. I first became acquainted with him on board a whale vessel. Finding that he was unemployed in this city, I easily engaged him to assist in my enterprise. The master is a person of excellent disposition and remarkable in the ship for his gentleness and the mildness of his discipline. This circumstance added to his well-known integrity. And dauntless courage made me very desirous to engage him. A youth passed in solitude, my best years spent under your gentle and feminine fosterage have so refined the groundwork of my character that I cannot overcome an intense distaste to the usual brutality exercised on board ship. I have never believed it to be necessary, and when I heard of a mariner equally noted for his kindliness of heart, and the respect and obedience paid to him by his crew, I felt myself peculiarly fortunate in being able to secure his services. I heard of him first in rather a romantic manner, from a lady who owes to him the happiness of her life. This, briefly, is his story. Some years ago, he loved a young Russian lady of moderate fortune, and having amassed a considerate sum in prize money, the father of the girl consented to the match. He saw his mistress once before the destined ceremony, but she was bathed in tears, and throwing herself at his feet, entreated him to spare her, confessing at the time that she loved another, but that he was poor, and that her father would never consent to the union. My generous friend reassured the suppliant, and on being informed of the name of her lover, instantly abandoned his pursuit. He had already bought a farm with his money, on which he had designed to pass the remainder of his life, but he bestowed the whole upon his rival. Together with the remains of his prize money to purchase stock, he then himself solicited the young woman's father to consent to her marriage with the lover. But the old man decidedly refused, thinking himself bound in honor to my friend, who, when he found the father inexorable, quitted his country, nor returned until he heard that his former mistress was married according to her inclinations. What a noble fellow, you will explain. He is so, but then he is wholly uneducated. He is as silent as a Turk, and a kind of ignorant carelessness attends him. Which, while it renders his conduct the more astonishing, detracts from the interest and sympathy which otherwise he would command. Yet do not suppose, because I complain a little, or because I can conceive a consolation for my toils, which I may never know, that I am wavering in my resolutions. Those are as fixed as fate, and my voyage is only now delayed until the weather shall permit my embarkation. The winter has been dreadfully severe, but the spring promises well, and it is considered as a remarkably early season, so that perhaps I may sail sooner than I expected. I shall do nothing rashly. You know me sufficiently to confide in my prudence and considerateness whenever the safety of others is committed to my care. I cannot describe to you my sensations on the near prospect of my undertaking. It is impossible to communicate to you a conception of the trembling sensation, half pleasurable and half fearful, with which I am preparing to depart. I am going to unexplored regions, to the land of mist and snow, but I shall kill no albatross, and therefore do not be alarmed for my safety, or if I should come back to you as worn and woeful as the ancient mariner. You will smile at my illusion, but I will disclose a secret. I have often attributed my attachment to, my passionate enthusiasm for, the dangerous mysteries of the ocean, to that production of the most imaginative of modern poets. There is something at work in my soul which I do not understand. I am practically industrious, painstaking, a workman to execute with perseverance and labor. But besides, there is a love for the marvelous, a belief in the marvelous, intertwined in all my projects, which hurries me out of the common pathways of men, even to the wild sea and unvisited regions I am about to explore. But to return to dearer considerations, shall I meet you again, after having traversed immense seas, and returned by the most southern cape of Africa or America? I dare not expect such success, yet I cannot bear to look on the reverse of my picture. Continue for the present to write to me by every opportunity. I may receive your letters on some occasions when I need them most to support my spirits. I love you tenderly. Remember me with affection, should you never hear from me again. Your affectionate brother, Robert Walton.
And that concludes the second letter from Frankenstein, or the Modern Prometheus, by Mary Shelley. So both of those letters are from the same guy to the same lady. You know, his sister, Mrs. Seville. So, you know, she's settled. She's doing good. Hopefully, this guy gets his stuff together and discovers a Northwest Passage or something, because, I mean, boats aren't cheap. You know, the death of his cousin might have set him up with some cash, but, once again, boats aren't cheap. Okay, so we're kind of trying to figure out a path here that connects B-Dub's Gate over there with Hermit Homedale, and I think what we're going to want to do is build some sort of bridge. I really don't like this promontory. I don't want to dig around this promontory, but what I'm seeing is there's a natural tunnel here, right? Some would say a supernatural tunnel, because I'm the Beetlejuice, and I'm the most natural at everything. But yeah, what I'm thinking is we bust a hole in here for our horse path, rather than going around that promontory. And then we have some sort of tunnel of some kind. I don't know. And then we're gonna roll on through to the other side. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking is, now, whatever path we make, anything that is going to be temporary here, we're going to use gravel and sand for, as well as signs. We don't have all those materials on us now. We're just kind of trying to generally mark out where this goes. But we need this big enough that a horse can fit through here without, banging its mane or whatever. That's no good. Okay. What else? Why is he going to the cold? The guy in the story, Rawalton, because he thinks he's going to find a Northwest Passage. He's trying to link Russia and Hawaii because he thinks that might be profitable and also marvelous. He's very big on Marvel. They didn't have movies yet, but, this guy was ahead of his time. So, okay. Here's what I'm thinking. We have this path that generally continues along here. and then into there. So we're going to take some of the surplus dirt. We're going to extend this a wee bit. Just a scotch. Just a scotch. We're not going to overdo it. Nobody overdo it. Just a nice little path here. Dun 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 dun. Path. And then, yeah. So, we're gonna keep going that way, I guess, for a while. So this is where it gets weird, because then we actually need to build the bridge through here. And then that needs to connect back over here. So yeah, that's gonna be its own whole thing. Let's see. Before we start our next letter, I gotta remember to post the tipping link. Have we posted the tipping link enough to take down the sign? We haven't actually gotten any tips, which makes me think something might be not set up. Like, maybe we've gotten tips, I'm just not getting alerts. So let's make sure... I have not streamed from this desk for like 9 days or something. So we gotta make sure everything's actually properly set up. We did a test stream earlier that I think went pretty well. Thanks everybody who showed up for that. It was a good time. Played some Minecraft, which is a video game. Okay, let's go back to the bed. Okay. So some of y'all might be like, wait, what does this have to do with Frankenstein? Isn't that the name of the book? I don't know. Maybe wanting a friend will be a recurring theme. Does anyone think that maybe Mary Shelley was writing about being self-educated because as a woman of the day, she was denied access to the prestigious boarding schools that she would have had access to if she was born a man? Maybe. Maybe it's just a complete coincidence. I don't know. We've read 2 chapters here, and nobody's said anything about the book at this point. So let's go ahead. Anybody want to share some thoughts? Let's go. Thoughts, thoughts, thoughts. Wandering Mass says, I have sadly been distracted making dinner. Well, I hope it was or will be a fantastic dinner. Anna says, well, most of my thoughts will arrive once we cross the Arctic proper. Or once we hit the Arctic proper. Ah, that's fair, that's fair. Did I not use the bed? I did use the bed. I just left all the lights behind. Blech. Good planning. Well, luckily we got a few of these. Whatever. Okay, I don't know why you're spanning marbles. Padawana says, my thoughts are nostalgic. Years since I've read this. Yep, I last read this when I was much younger. So, Moby Dick, I had last read 10 years before, maybe. Dracula, I had last read about 10 years before. This one, I think I last read 20 years ago. So, not gonna be... I'm gonna be catching up on this to some degree. More so than I was the last 2 books. Anna says this is maybe read 6 of the original text for me, so I don't want to get ahead of the book. That's fair. Centauratron says, my main thought right now is that this book is not starting at all how I thought it would. That's fair. That's part of why we read stuff, to experience it in ways we wouldn't have. There's an actual cave up there. What? Yeah, that was good. I'm glad I did that. Kira the Hero said, I've felt some stylistic writing in terms of the era to Moby Dick and Most Dangerous Game. Yeah, that's fair. Mind of Me says, I'm also feeling nostalgic. This was the first novel I studied at a university level. Oh, that's cool. Hey, we got a tip rolling in. Okay, so the tipping thing is working. Thank you very much. To MJ, who says, glad you're back safely from your trip. Wasn't expecting to see the Beetlejuice expansions already, but I hear he's worth it. Yeah, that's right. I'm the Beetlejuice. We were 34. No, we were 16 away from the next Face Gamer expansion milestone, but then MJ just tipped us enough for 2 of those. So here we go. Expand me. Da 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 da. And then numero dos, even larger, Beetlejuice. Da, 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 da. So thank you very much, MJ, for that hundo. That is going to put us now, once again, 16 away from the next Face Gamer expansion milestone. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/Joe Hills and YouTube Super Chat. We're going to go ahead and take down that setting up now sign because we have confirmed that alerts are working. Just as a reminder, tips that come in the middle of a chapter, I won't necessarily read aloud right away. And, yeah, what else were we doing? Yeah, we're reading, Moby Dick. No, just kidding. That's the one we just finished. We're reading a different book. We're reading about that Frankenstein and his monster. And also Robert Walton's boat. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We are gonna punch a hole in this wall here. Okay, yeah, there we go. Graysky says, I read this book in high school. My teacher gifted me a very old falling apart copy. Had that perfect old book smell. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so we're going to empty some of these boxes here. Yeah, let's just... Oh, that's the teleporter box. That shouldn't be out. Well, whatever. We'll just get rid of some of this as we go. Can I... that's not, of course, overlap. Fine. Why do I have pistons? I don't know. Nothing here consolidates. It's fine. Wait, did I get rid of the glow stuff by accident? The one thing I needed. I'm glad you're enjoying the reading, Rad Nicole. Okay, so here's one thing that I'm not sure about. What Y level do I want this tunnel to come out at? Oh, never mind. It is that Y level. Yeah, so we'll have it come out here. Then we'll have the bridge continue across there. Yeah, okay. A water level... Thank you for stopping by, Jen K. Sorry about your work schedule. But glad you could join us tonight. Even if it's just for a little bit. Yep, we're doing Frankenstein. That's right, Champagne Jane. Jen K says, be nice to your servers and restaurant workers tomorrow and always. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I don't think of Easter as a big eating out holiday because we didn't really do that much in my family. But yeah, I think it is for some people. They go out for Easter brunch or whatever. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, so good luck. Everybody out there working on that stuff. Okay. Where am I? Or what am I doing? I need to go ahead and get the letter 3 URL in. Uh-oh. Is that nighttime sounds? No, that's a horse. Okay, let's get the letter 3 URL in. Bum, bum, bum. What we're reading. Okay. Anna says, I'll see if I can find my copy of Frankenstein with the maps that track the story, if that's something folks would be interested in. Yeah, feel free to share stuff like that in the Discord. You won't be able to post links elsewhere. But yeah, that's totally appropriate to post during the appropriate times on the Discord. Okay. So we get the letter 3 link. I posted it, but I didn't pin it. Let's replace pin message. Over there, pin message, and set that to unpin after manually unpinned out of the stream. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So we've got a strong start here for this. Now this is where things are going to start getting a little... We got a link. I think I'm going to put the bridge on this little hill here. And then have that connect to where? Where does that end up connecting to? Do we just... Oh, maybe we actually do just go straight across. I wasn't planning on having this... I was thinking the bridge would have to be at a diagonal, but now that I'm looking at it, hold on. The way that ravine there is and stuff, maybe... Oh, but the problem is we don't want to go too close to these guys. Because they're mean. There's a lot of them, too. Boy, this is a big ravine, too. So lots of things going on here. But yeah, okay, so what I was initially thinking. Glass and Pain says, how do I join the Joe Discord? Let me get the link. $5 a month gets you on the Discord. $10 a month gets you on the Minecraft servers via Patreon. Here's the thing, though, is I send the invites out manually once per day. So if you sign up now, you won't get into the Discord in the middle of this stream. I have to send those out later. Okay. So sun's going down. Let's head over to the bed we set up in the little camp here. Centauratron says, my Moby Dip copy had a map of the voyage the Pequod took. Level and books have materials to help you understand it better. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, where was I? So I haven't done that. Yeah, this is gonna have to be at a diagonal. And it'll have to lead up to here. So we'll have the path of it cross there. Yeah, that'll work, I think. Hey, we got a tip rolling in from Kiro. Thank you very much, Kiro, for tipping 5. Who says, your narration is great, Joe. Glad to be here for the stream. Hey, glad to have you. That's going to bring us up to $11 away from the next face camera expansion milestone. Thank you very much to Kiro. Okay, so let's see. We got the new link posted in all but... Oh, yeah, I haven't posted it in... over there. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so everybody has the what we're reading link now. And I think I'm just going to mostly be clearing snow over here to make room for our little connector thing here. Okay. Letter 3 to Mrs. Seville of England. July 7th, 17...
My dear sister... My dear sister, I write a few lines in haste to say that I am safe and well advanced on my voyage. This letter will reach England by a merchantman, now on its homeward voyage from Archangel, more fortunate than I, who may not see my native land, perhaps for many years. I am, however, in good spirits. My men are bold and apparently firm of purpose. Nor do the floating sheets of ice that continually pass us, indicating the region or the dangers of the region towards which we are advancing, appear to dismay them. We have already reached a very high latitude, but it is the height of summer. And although not so warm as in England, the southern gales, which blow us speedily toward those shores which I so ardently desire to attain, breathe a degree of renovating warmth, which I had not expected. No incidents have hitherto befallen us that would make a figure in a letter. One or two stiff gales and the springing of a leak are accidents which experienced navigators scarcely to remember to record, and I shall be well content if nothing worse happens during our voyage. Adieu, my dear Margaret. Be assured that for my own sake, as well as yours, I will not rashly encounter danger. I will be cool, persevering, and prudent. But success shall crown my endeavors. Wherefore not? Thus far I have gone, tracing a secure way over the pathless sea, the very stars themselves being witnesses and testimonies of my triumph. Why not still proceed over the untamed and yet obedient element? What can stop the determined heart and resolved will of man? My swelling heart involuntarily pours itself out thus, but I must finish. Heavens bless my beloved sister. R.W.
And that was letter 3. He was in a hurry, I guess, on account of that ship needing to go back to England by way of Archangel. But yeah. Okay, so I'm kind of clearing this out. My original plan was to come in here and then put in path blocks along the snows. But I'm realizing path blocks along the snows might not look great. You know, if I roll in and I'm like, bam, maybe that's not a good look. Maybe that's not where we want to be. Bye, lava. Psh. Yeah. So it's just like, okay. Yeah, what's going on with this guy? He's writing letters. He's on adventures. Welcome, Fiere. Glad you could join us. So here's where things get weird. He is lonely. We're about to read another letter dated August 5th, 17... And, once again, it's to Mrs. Seville of England. And, yeah. He's going to be reporting an accident. Do you think he backed into a cop car? I guess we'll have to find out. Let me update the what we're reading links accordingly with letter 4 here. But yeah. So basically up to this point, we've been kind of establishing the time period. We've been establishing the themes. We've been establishing different concepts, but we haven't necessarily gotten into what people consider the traditional narrative that makes up the heart of Frankenstein. We're not in chapter 1 yet. We're in this epistolary preface. This is kind of one of those things. I don't know if you've seen the episode of The Office where Andy is in a performance of the butcher barber of Seville. What is that called? Fleet Street barber guy. Cutty hands. Pie maker. Anyway, Andy from The Office is in a thing, and he's playing Edward Scissorhands or whoever. And at the beginning, there's, the orchestra starts playing, and Michael Scott, the boss, starts talking, and he gets hushed by the warehouse manager. And this is one of my favorite lines in the entire series, just because the way that the warehouse manager delivers it is just absolutely perfect. But so Michael, the boss, says something stupid, and the warehouse manager looks at him completely deadpan and goes, Michael, if you don't pay attention to the themes now, you won't recognize them when they reemerge later in the piece. And it's just nailed it. Nailed it. But yeah, okay, it looks like we might have had another tip roll in. Let's see if this alerts thing is working. Kind of. Oh wait, no, that's the same one I already read. Okay. We're having some we're getting everything up to speed again. Getting everything up to speed. It's been over a week since I was last streaming, so. I'm wondering if I butchered that line. What was the exact line? The name of the episode was Andy's Play. Here's the line. Shh. If we don't listen to the overture, we won't recognize the musical themes when they come back later. But yeah. So I think it's important to pay attention to the themes here. Pay attention to the concepts. There's a lot of stuff. Centauratron says, what could still a beating heart? I wonder if that's going to come back later. Yeah. Or what could beat a still heart? I don't know. It's a mystery to everybody. So, yeah. So even though these chapters seem like they might not match, if you haven't read the novel, they might not match with what you're thinking of as the Hollywood version of Frankenstein or the traditional thing. There we go. Hey, I see we have a new Patreon patron just signed up. Thank you very much. I won't read your name because Patreon names are often not the thing people want to go by. But yeah, just so you know, once again, I'm going to repeat that I send those invites out in a batch once per day. So you can expect that soon. Okay, that is broadly off topic. Okay. But yeah, let's see. People are saying that the name of Andy's Play was called Sweeney Todd. Yes, that sounds familiar. That sounds correct. The Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Yes. Okay. So, we've got this rough cutout here. Anna writes, Walton's explorer's mindset is one of the more interesting things Shelley tees up for the rest of the story to me. Very cool. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Ace Game says, Joe, you're looking a little blue. Yeah, I'm the Beetlejuice, so I do what I can. And we are only $11 away from the next Beetlejuice expansion. Nymph says, hey, welcome back from the event, Joe. Hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was a really good time. We have not yet done our post-mortem, but I've started writing some stuff up. I have a lot of ideas for next year. One of the things that kind of held us up this year was we weren't 100% sure about the space. and by we weren't 100% sure about the space, we had so many questions about the space that, like, it was like, boy, if we could just walk around it and see it, this would be so much easier. And now we've walked around it and we've seen it. And so there were some things that's like, oh, we totally could have done this, or we totally could have done that. So, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm hoping we do it again. But I think we were on pretty good behavior, other than Martin destroying one of their coffee machines, which I'm told was completely by accident. I've been told that the damage to the building was minimal, and that's one of those things that they look at when you try to get invited back somewhere. So how much property damage are we looking at here? Triple figures, quadruple figures. What is the real cost to the landowner? But yeah, we had a lot of fun, and we got some ideas. So I'm sure a lot of your favorite hermits are going to be asking for feedback about their segments and stuff in the next few weeks, as we want to write this stuff down while it's fresh, even though we're not going to really be able to properly come back to it for a while. But I'm really, really proud of how well we did. And I'm amazed at the generosity of this community. Although I'm not surprised. Y'all, we were surprised the first year. And then we were surprised again last year. But this year we're just like, okay, this is just the sort of people that we've connected with. Our work is resonating with cool, awesome, generous people. How do we make them feel appreciated? How do we thank you guys? How do we put on the best show we can to demonstrate our appreciation for your generosity? And I'm pretty happy with how we did. Naman Sabu says, I'm amazed that Nerf Fight didn't end up breaking anything. I'm shocked I didn't destroy Jimmy's monitor with that Panda Beach Ball. That was just luck. That could have been real bad. I'm delighted that I didn't actually destroy it, do any property damage when I was messing with the standing desk. Yeah. Centauratron says, hopefully I'll be in a better place financially next time where I can contribute more than just watching. Hey, no worries, Centauratron. We're putting on a show for everyone to enjoy. And, like, honestly, this is the sort of stuff that, you know, hopefully we'll be doing events like this for years. Maybe not exactly in the same place, or, you know, things are going to change. We're going to learn and grow. But we're going to find opportunities for folks to help each other out where we can. Because that's been one of the coolest things. You know, hey, we got another tip rolling in. Let's see, we were 11 away from the next face camera expansion milestone. But now, thanks to Charles, we are 4 past, who says, excited to see you're reading Frankenstein. It's my favorite book for beautifully heavy foreshadowing. Destiny was too potent, and her immutable laws had decreed my utter and terrible destruction. So there we go. There we go. Charles teeing us up with a quote. Might be some foreshadowing in that choice of quotes. I don't know, you guys. I don't know. We're going to have to keep reading. We're going to have to keep reading. We are not done reading for the night. My plan was definitely... I wasn't sure how long these letters were going to take. So, my plan was definitely to finish all the letters. And... wait, actually, letter 4 is actually multiple parts. Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to get through... I mean, sorry, yeah. Beetlejuice here. We're going to get through letter 4 tonight, definitely. So, yeah. This is a much longer one than the This is... letter 4 is like several letters. It's a lot of letters. Whole lot of letters going on. Okay. So let's see. Let's go ahead and get the updated what we're reading link here. Oh, wait, we didn't do the face camera expansion. Yeah, here we go. Thank you again to Charles for getting us 4 past that next expansion milestone. Here we go. Expand me. Alrighty. Thank you very much, Charles. Okay, so now we are 46 away from the next face camera expansion milestone. Posting the chapter thing, and then I'll post the tipping link again. So what we're reading, pin until end of stream. Please pin message on there. Yep. Okay. So then we post this over here. Burp, 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 burp. But yeah, so once again, tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. Yeah, this is a long letter, so this'll take us long enough. I don't want to promise anything past that. So in terms of what we're working on over here, I'm a little concerned that I don't have the materials to work while reading easily right now. Let's quickly run back and do some inventory management before we start reading. I think I have some logs, signs for this, but I'm honestly not sure what's been destroyed by the permit office. They've been making all sorts of messes for us. Ba-bum, 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 ow, my face. None of these might be logs. That might be a problem. Can we at least drop off this stone? Yeah. Okay, well, that's something at least. There's logs up top side, I think. Is it hard for you to read while playing Minecraft? Well, I play a lot of Minecraft, and I read a lot of books. So it's not impossible. Ah, here's the logs. Here's the logs. Okay. So let's take this shulker box here. And can we move some of this stuff? Like copper can go in the copper box. Silverfish heads can go in this one. Yeah, okay, honestly, we can throw a lot of this stuff. Okay. So, if we wanted to make a bunch of signs, what wood is the best for us to make a bunch of signs with? Probably spruce. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to toss some of that in there to sort later. Okay. Then we're going to grab... Yeah, let's go ahead and decant one of these into one of those there. Okay, we're going to put the surplus sticks and logs in there for right now. Let's put these surplus potions in the surplus potions box. That's the TCG box. That's not potions either. I really thought I had one of these full of potions over here. That's fine. Put it in the Doom box. We can sort the Doom box later. Oh boy, that's going to be a nightmare. But it's not a nightmare for right now, which is the most important part of it. Okay. Grabbing that. Now, what were we going to do? Signs. Point to yes. Okay. So that's a bunch of spruce signs. Hopefully enough to get us started here. Okay. Welcome, Stars and Moon. Hope you're having a fantastic evening. I hear that's your favorite time of night. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go lay our heads down and dream in one of these beds over here, which I'm pretty sure are not trapped because I placed them after the exile thing ended. That was a great use of my time. Love it. Top stuff. Just best possible result. That's going in there. Whatever, that's going in there. That's going in there. That's going in there. Just stellar work all around, everybody. Stellar work. I can't be bothered. We're leaving. Creeper exploded, apparently. Yay, happy Valentine's Day. The bed beacon had a good run. Yeah, I was gonna say, we should probably... What's the next major holiday people decorate for? Because we didn't have the opportunity to do the beacons for Easter. Which, it's hard to do pastels and beacons anyway. But we didn't have the opportunity to do the beacons for Easter because we were so busy fleeing from the permit office guys. 4th of July is a little while out. I don't know, we'll figure something out. So to recap for everybody, B-Dubs has been extending his path from over here. The plan was he would have his path join up with this side of the village. Then I would have my path extend out from this part of the village. Okay. Meow. Hi, cat. Okay. So, no, I'm playing on Java Vermont. Okay. So, people are saying Pride Month is June. The nice thing about that is I don't have to do anything for the rest of April or May at that point. I can just leave it as is for 40 days. That's easy. Okay. So yeah, we'll come back around to that later, I guess. Good suggestion. Okay. So, where were we? No, not a chapter. We're still in the preface, the epistolary introduction. We're on letter 4 to Mrs. Seville, England, August 5th, 17...
So strange an accident has happened to us that I cannot forbear recording it, although it is very probable you will see me before these papers can come into your possession. Last Monday, July 31st, we were nearly surrounded by ice, which closed in the ship on all sides, scarcely leaving her the sea room in which she floated. Our situation was somewhat dangerous, especially as we were compassed round by a thick fog. We accordingly lay to, hoping that some change would take place in the atmosphere and weather. About 2 o'clock, the mist cleared away, and we beheld, stretched out in every direction, vast and irregular plains of ice, which seemed to have no end. Some of my comrades groaned, and my own mind began to grow watchful with anxious thoughts. When a strange sight suddenly attracted our attention and diverted our solicitude from our situation. We perceived a low carriage fixed on a sledge and drawn by dogs, pass on toward the north. At the distance of half a mile, a being which had the shape of a man, but apparently of gigantic stature, sat in the sledge and guided the dogs. We watched the rapid progress of the traveler with our telescopes until he was lost among the distant inequalities of the ice. This appearance excited our unqualified wonder. We were, as we believed, many hundreds of miles from any land, but this apparition seemed to denote that it was not, in reality, so distant as we had supposed. Shut in, however, by ice, it was impossible to follow his track, which we had observed with the greatest attention. About 2 hours after this occurrence, we heard the ground sea, and before night the ice broke and freed our ship. We, however, laid to until morning, fearing to encounter in the dark the large loose masses which float about after the breaking up of the ice. I profited of this time to rest a few hours. In the morning, however, as soon as it was light, I went upon deck and found all the sailors busy on one side of the vessel, apparently talking to someone in the sea. It was, in fact, a sledge, like we had seen before, which had drifted towards us in the night on a large fragment of ice. Only one dog remained alive, but there was a human being within it whom the sailors were persuading to enter the vessel. He was not, as the other travelers seemed to be, a savage inhabitant of some undiscovered island, but a European. When I appeared on the deck, the master said,
"Here's our captain. He will not allow you to perish on the open sea."
On perceiving me, the stranger addressed me in English, although with a foreign accent.
"Before I come to board your vessel,"
said he,
"will you have the kindness to inform me whither you are bound?"
You may conceive my astonishment on hearing such a question addressed to me from a man on the brink of destruction, and to whom I would have supposed that my vessel would have been a resource which he could not have exchanged for the most precious wealth the earth could afford. I replied, however, that we were on a voyage of discovery toward the northern pole. Upon hearing this, he appeared satisfied and consented to come on board. Good God, Margaret, if you had seen the man who thus capitulated for his safety, your surprise would have been boundless. His limbs were nearly frozen, and his body dreadfully emaciated by fatigue and suffering. I never saw a man in so wretched a condition. We attempted to carry him into the cabin, but as soon as he had quitted the fresh air, he fainted. We accordingly brought him back to the deck, and restored him to animation by rubbing him with brandy and forcing him to swallow a small quantity. As soon as he showed signs of life, we wrapped him up in blankets. and placed him near the chimney of the kitchen stove. By slow degrees, he recovered, and ate a little soup, which restored him wonderfully. 2 days passed in this manner before he was able to speak, and I often feared that his sufferings had deprived him of understanding. When he had, in some measure, recovered, I removed him to my own cabin, and attended on him as much as my duty would permit. I never saw a more interesting creature. Where is there a skeleton nearby? Good God, Margaret. You would think the creature had arrived from the sea itself. No, but seriously, where is there a skeleton? I just want to go to bed.
Okay, well, yeah, we're gonna switch back out of reading mode for a second, because I can't deal with this right now. Wait, there's a bed over here, too. There are way more beds here than I thought. Are these ones trapped? Might be. Might be. Maybe B-dubs put this one here. I don't remember seeing all of these before the exile stuff. There's a train track. Interesting. Then maybe that's part of Mumbo's thing. Okay. Well, anyway. Welcome, Melissa Garcia. We're in the middle of reading Letter 4 from Frankenstein, or The Modern Prometheus, by Mary Shelley. We're placing signs and building a bridge. I realized that I forgot to bring enough gravel to actually do this properly here. So it's going to be its own whole thing, I guess. And we should probably get in this boat once we can, because that's going to be a lot easier. Oh, that was immediately not easier. Oh, yeah, because when you hold shift to place the sign, it's going to eject you from the boat constantly. Constant ejection of my favorite. Nope, wrong. So yeah, the plan was to build this bridge while I read, and I'm realizing that that's going to be harder than I thought. So the new plan might be, I don't know. Go get some blocks while I read. Sign bridge. Yep. So that way we can just destroy the one sign here and the whole thing will collapse. This is a temporary bridge. Dirt bridge under the sign bridge. I really don't want to build 2 temporary bridges. Do I want to build a temporary bridge to build my temporary bridge? You see how that's not what I want to do, right? You understand that. That's not especially complicated, I feel. Yeah, this is going to be hard to read while I do this. Okay. It's fine. Okay.
Two days passed in this manner before he was able to speak, and I often feared that his sufferings had deprived him of understanding. When he had in some measure recovered, I removed him to my own cabin, and attended on him as much as my duty would permit. I never saw a more interesting creature. His eyes have generally an expression of wildness and even madness, but there are moments when, if anyone performs an act of kindness towards him, or does him any the most trifling service, his whole countenance is lighted up, as it were, with a beam of benevolence and sweetness that I never saw equaled. But he is generally melancholy and despairing, and sometimes he gnashes his teeth, as if impatient with the weight of woes that oppresses him. When my guest was a little recovered, I had great trouble to keep off the men who wished to ask him 1,000 questions. But I would not allow him to be tormented by their idle curiosity, in a state of body and mind whose restoration evidently depended upon entire repose. However, the lieutenant asked why he had come so far on the ice in so strange a vehicle. His countenance instantly assumed an aspect of the deepest gloom, and he replied, "To seek the one who fled from me." "And did the man whom you pursued travel in the same fashion?" "Yes." "Then I fancy we may have seen him, for the day before we picked you up, we saw some dogs drawing a sledge with a man in it across the ice." This aroused the stranger's attention, and he asked a multitude of questions concerning the route This aroused the stranger's attention, and he asked a multitude of questions concerning the route which the daemon, as he called him, had pursued. Soon after, when he was alone with me, he said, "I have doubtless excited your curiosity, as well as that of these good people, but you are too considerate to make inquiries." "Certainly, it would indeed be very impertinent and inhuman in me to trouble you with any inquisitiveness of mine." "And yet, you rescued me from a strange and perilous situation. You have benevolently restored me to life." "Soon after this, he inquired if I thought that the breaking of the ice had destroyed the other sledge. I replied that I could not answer with any degree of certainty, for the ice had not broken until near midnight, and the traveler might have arrived at a place of safety before that time. But of this I could not judge. From this time, a new spirit of life animated the decaying frame of the stranger. He manifested the greatest eagerness to be upon deck to watch for the sledge which had before us appeared. But I have persuaded him to remain in the cabin, for he is far too weak to sustain the rawness of the atmosphere. I have promised that someone should watch for him and give him instant notice if any new object should appear in sight. Such is my journal of what relates to this strange occurrence up to the present day. The stranger has gradually improved in health, but is very silent, and appears uneasy when anyone except myself enters the cabin. Yet his manners are so conciliating and gentle that the sailors are all interested in him, although they have had little communication with him. For my own part, I begin to love him as a brother, and his constant and deep grief fills me with sympathy and compassion. He must have been a noble creature in his better days, being even now, in wreck, so attractive and amiable. I said in one of my letters, my dear Margaret, that I should find no friend on the wide ocean. Yet I have found a man who, before his spirit had been broken by misery, I should have been happy to be possessed of as the brother of my heart. I shall continue my journal as a stranger at intervals. I shall continue my journal concerning the stranger at intervals, should I have any fresh incidents to record.
So that, so that was that part of letter 4 is weird because it doesn't get sent, so he just keeps adding more dates on it. So that first part of letter 4 was dated August 5th, right? So this next part of letter 4 is going to be dated August 13th. Okay? Yeah, we are reading Frankenstein, Jarek. That's Jarek. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, this guy is far too desperate for a friend. You're not wrong, Champagne Jane. Okay. So, here we go. Frostwalker boots. Charles Ham. Frostwalker boots. We literally just had like a bunch of those in like a box over here. Maybe not that box. Maybe not that box. Maybe not that box. Yeah, I knew there was a way to do this. I was like, we don't need to build a dirt bridge. There's a better way. And I was thinking like it's just stand on the boat, but it's not. It's Frostwalker. Who be walking on the frost? It me. Okay, I think there's a skeleton underneath here. So we're gonna have a bad time. Yeah, okay. Let's save that one for later too. Okay. Here we go. I really do like B-dubs' birds. Those are so good. That's just a marvelous little flock of birds. So we're gonna lay our heads down, dream as soon as the sun sets there. Then we're gonna resume with August 13th, 17. Oh wait, first. Yeah, look at that. Yep. That's how we do it. Uh-oh, that was not the carrots. That was the snowballs. So we might be out of snowballs now, but we didn't technically need them for anything. Except that. Okay. Oh, interesting. The kelp is going to be a problem for that. Okay. Now we're in business. Anyway. August 13th, 17.
My affection for my guest increases every day. He excites at once my admiration and my pity to an astonishing degree. How can I see so noble a creature destroyed by misery without feeling the most poignant grief? He is so gentle, yet so wise. His mind is so cultivated, and when he speaks, although his words are culled with the choicest art, yet they flow with rapidity and unparalleled eloquence. He is now much recovered from his illness, and is continually on deck, apparently watching for the sledge which preceded his own. Yet, although unhappy, he is not so utterly occupied by his own misery, but that he interests himself deeply in the projects of others. He has frequently conversed with me on mine, which I have communicated to him without disguise. He entered attentively into all my arguments in favor of my eventual success, and into every minute detail of the measures I had taken to secure it. I was easily led by the sympathy which he evinced to use the language of my heart, to give utterance to the burning ardor of my soul, and say with all the fervor that warmed me, how gladly I would sacrifice my fortune, my existence, my every hope, to the furtherance of that enterprise. One man's life or death were but a small price to pay for the acquirement of the knowledge which I sought, for the dominion I should acquire and transmit over the elemental foes of our race. As I spoke, a dark gloom spread over my listener's countenance. At first I perceived that he tried to suppress his emotion. He placed his hands before my eyes, and my voice quivered and failed me as I beheld tears trickle fast from between his fingers. A groan burst from his heaving breast. I paused, and at length he spoke in a broken accent. "Unhappy man, do you share my madness? Have you drunk also of the intoxicating draught? Hear me! Let me reveal my tale, and you will dash the cup from your lips." Such words, you may imagine, strongly excited my curiosity, but the paroxysm of grief that had seized the stranger overcame his weakened powers, and many hours of repose and tranquil conversation were necessary to restore his composure. Having conquered the violence of his feelings, he appeared to despise himself for having been the slave of passion. And, quelling the dark tyranny of despair, he led me again to converse about myself personally. He asked me the history of my earlier years. The tale was quickly told, but it awakened various trains of reflection. I spoke of my desire of finding a friend, of my thirst for a more intimate sympathy with a fellow mind than had ever fallen to my lot, and expressed my conviction that a man could boast of little happiness who did not enjoy this blessing. "I agree with you," replied the stranger. "We are unfashioned creatures, but half made up, if one wiser, better, dearer than ourselves. Such a friend ought to be. Do not lend his aid to perfectionate our weak and faulty natures. I once had a friend, the most noble of human creatures, and am entitled, therefore, to judge respecting friendship. You have hope and the world before you, and have no cause for despair. But I have lost everything. Cannot begin life anew. As he said this, his countenance became expressive of a calm, settled grief that touched me to the heart. But he was silent, and presently returned to his cabin. Even broken in spirit as he is, no one can feel more deeply than he does the beauties of nature. The starry sky, the sea, and every sight afforded by these wondrous regions still seem to have the power of elevating his soul from earth. Such a man has a double existence. He may suffer misery and be overwhelmed by disappointments. Yet, when he has retired into himself, he will be like a celestial spirit that has a halo around him. You have been tutored and refined by books and retirement from the world, and are therefore somewhat fastidious. But this only makes you but this only renders you the more fit to appreciate the extraordinary merits of this wonderful man. Sometimes I have endeavored to discover what quality it is which he possesses that elevates him so immeasurably above every other person I have known. I believe it to be an intuitive discernment, a quick but never failing power of judgment, a penetration into the causes of things, unequaled for clearness and precision. Add to this a facility of expression and a voice whose varied intonations are soul-subduing music.
So yeah, that's the end of that part of that letter. Now, once again, the letters up to this point were all kind of like broken up when they were sent. But this letter, he keeps updating the date on and is using it as kind of a journal because there's nowhere to send the letter. He's sailing around the North Pole at this point. That's what he's doing. So, yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, just as a reminder, before we get into the next part of this letter, the first part of letter 4 was dated August 5th. The second part was dated August 13th. This next and final part of the letter is dated August 19th. So, once again, this is the North Pole, so the sun isn't setting this time of year. It's pretty cold, but it's not like... He's at the best time of the... If you're going to go to the North Pole, this is like when to go. So he's sailing around the North Pole, trying to find a northwest passage to the Pacific. Okay. Did I post the tipping link? Yeah, real quick, let's post the tipping link. Because we're almost 2 hours into this. Yeah, tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. We are currently 46 away. 46 away from the next Facecamera expansion. Yeah, welcome to everybody who came in since I started reading this. Kinsla, Sean, Cockerel, welcome Hades, Cosmic Sheep. Welcome Awesome, glad you like my glasses. Welcome Endercat, DJ Shade, Daddy Bird. I think most of you guys were already here. But yeah, welcome everybody. If you're enjoying this, feel free to consider tipping. Okay. So. Here we go. Let's see what we got. We got a bridge. So when we put gravity blocks on top of this bridge here, then they'll make a self-destructing bridge, basically. An unstable bridge, basically, is what we're going for. I've never stayed in one place long enough with Frostwalker boots to realize that they failed like this. I didn't know that the ice cracked over time. I've always just worn these running around. I've never tried to stand in one place while building with them, and I'm Learning a lot as I go. It's the Apollo says, not sure if the character writing this has the soul of a poet or is the most melodramatic theater kid ever to ever theater. Fair enough, it's the Apollo. Are there strange things done in the Midnight Sun? I don't know. It's a mystery. It's a mystery to everyone. If they have blocks above them, they don't melt. Well, that's... Yeah, I don't want to put blocks above them. I want to put signs where I'm putting the signs. Okay. So we're going to keep going here. So, yeah, we're moving on to August 19th of 17... Yesterday, the stranger said to me, "You may easily perceive, Captain Walton, that I have suffered great and unparalleled misfortunes. I had determined at one time that the memory of these evils should die with me. But you have won me to alter my determination. You seek for knowledge and wisdom, as I once did, and I ardently hope that the gratification of your wishes may not be a serpent to sting you, as mine has been. I do not know that the relation of my disasters will be useful to you, yet when I reflect that you are pursuing the same course, exposing yourself to the same dangers which have rendered me what I am, I imagine that you may deduce an apt moral from my tale. One that may direct you if you succeed in your undertaking, and console you in case of failure. Prepare to hear of occurrences which are usually deemed marvelous. Were we among the tamer scenes of nature, I might fear to encounter your unbelief, perhaps your ridicule. But many things will appear possible in these wild and mysterious regions which would provoke the laughter of those unacquainted with the ever-varied powers of nature. Nor can I doubt that my tale conveys in its series internal evidence of the truth of the events of which it is composed. You may easily imagine that I was much gratified. You may easily imagine that I was much gratified by the offered communication. Yet I could not endure that he should renew his grief by a recital of his misfortunes. I felt the greatest eagerness to hear the promised narrative, partly from my curiosity, and partly from a strong desire to ameliorate his fate, if it were in my power. I expressed these feelings in my answer. "I thank you," he replied, "for your sympathy, but it's useless. My fate is nearly fulfilled. I wait but for one event, and then I shall repose in peace. I understand your feeling
continued he, perceiving that I wished to interrupt him. But you are mistaken, my friend. If thus you allow me to name you, nothing can alter my destiny. Listen to my history, and you will perceive how irrevocably it is determined. He then told me that he would commence his narrative the next day, when I should be at leisure. The promise drew from me the warmest thanks. I have resolved every night, when I am not imperatively occupied by my duties, to record, as nearly as possible, in his own words, what he has related to me during the day. If I should be engaged, I will at least make notes. This manuscript will doubtless afford you the greatest pleasure. But to me, who know him, and who hear it from his own lips, with what interest and sympathy shall I read it in some future day? Even now, as I commence my task. His full-toned voice swells in my ears. His lustrous eyes dwell on me with all their melancholy sweetness. I see his thin hand raised in animation, while the lineaments of his face are irradiated by the soul within. Strange and harrowing must be his story. Frightful the storm which embraced the gallant vessel on its course, and wrecked it. Thus.
Okay, so that's the end of letter 4. Biz Chetta says, how often are the reading streams? I absolutely love this. Good news, Biz Chetta. They're Saturday nights. I'm not sure yet. I think I'm gonna be back next Saturday. There's something going on during the day that I'm committed to attending, and I'm not sure how late it's gonna run. When I initially committed, I thought it was gonna be done in time for me to stream, so I'm gonna have to kind of play that by ear. But honestly, even if I did have... What I'd probably do, if I had to not do it Saturday night, I'd probably move it earlier in the day and then have the VOD up. Because, like, if I knew for a fact I wasn't going to make it Saturday night, I could do it Saturday morning as a special treat for the European crowd. We had viewers from all over the world show up for our charity stream last week, and so anything I can do to make everybody feel more appreciated, I want to do. Also, you know, since this is the only stream of the week that the VODs go up for, it does seem good to kind of cross-pollinate that a little bit. So we're going to see. We're going to see. I'm optimistic that I'll be home next Saturday night. But, you know, as I'm saying this out loud, as I'm talking through this, I'm thinking maybe we intentionally just say, you know what, Saturday morning reading stream. And then that way I don't have to stress the whole day about my other plans running long. Because, yeah, when I promise I'm going to take my kid to something, I want to, you know, do that. And I don't want to be like, okay, now I got to leave. Yeah, let's... You know what? Yeah, you know what? We're gonna officially. I'm gonna talk to my spouse about that. But yeah, I think let's plan for there not to be a Saturday night stream next week. By this time, next Saturday night, y'all will already have the VOD from Saturday morning. Because if I wake up early and do it Saturday morning and then spend the day with my family, then I don't have to race back home. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's how we're gonna do this. Just talking this through. Okay. You can press escape to escape. Yeah, that's actually maybe what I should be doing. Yeah, that seems way faster. What I should also do is I should put escape on my foot pedal. Because then I don't even have to twist my wrist. Okay, yeah. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to I'm going to try to do these Saturday night streams whenever I can. But because there's more stuff going on the weekends with my kid now, and we only have so much time before my kid goes to her mom's for the summer, I don't want to miss stuff. I'm going to say, yeah, if we can't do a Saturday night stream, I'll try to do a Saturday morning stream. I don't want to skip reading streams, but I might have to shuffle them. So yeah, that's the new plan. That's the new plan. Okay. Yeah, happy Easter to anybody who celebrates. Seen a lot of folks saying happy Easter. It's a little early here for Easter. I feel like yeah, that's one of those things, like, unlike Merry Christmas, where you can say that on Christmas Eve. I feel like saying, well, actually, I guess it's past the Easter Vigil. It's past sunset. So yeah, I guess you can say happy Easter. Never mind. I wasn't going to stop you guys from saying happy Easter, but just like I was thinking about it, I was like, should I say happy Easter? I don't know if that's what I want to do here. But yeah, I guess it's not too early to say happy Easter because it is past sunset. Okay. Yeah, I just did my shopping for dinner tomorrow earlier today. Might have a friend over, depending on the... One of my friends is on call doing medical stuff. And so it's like, hey, if you want to come over for our Easter thing, you can, since you can't go spend time with your family. But if you get called out to work and you can't join us, we won't be, like, offended. So we're making something pretty easy to scale up or down. It's not like, oh, I only bought a precise number of steaks or anything. Okay. So, okay, I feel like we are ready to wrap up. Let's do last call for tips. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. We are currently $46 away from the next face camera expansion milestone. Yep. Okay. So we're going to hang out for a few minutes to give PayPal a little bit of time to get those tips in, since the alerts aren't always instantaneous. So for anybody who just came in and is wondering what we're working on, our pal B-Dubs here has started building a path that connects from his village over to this little Minecraft village here. So I've started building a path out of there that's going to go through this cave. You know, honestly, as I'm looking at this, part of me wants to carve this out. I mean, we just build a little cliff here. Just a little cliff. There we go. But yeah, for those of you who can't make every Saturday, don't worry. The Frankenstein streams are the only... The book reading streams are the only ones that get VODs on YouTube. I have to go out of my way to avoid music and a bunch of other stuff in order to make that possible that I don't want to do on the other streams. But because I know people don't want to miss the book, and this is kind of a fun exercise for everybody. There's never VODs on Twitch. Okay. Okay, so let's put this glowstone in over here. We're going to just kind of bring this up and around a little bit here. Okay, so we're gonna have little patches of sand in that bit. That's fine. We'll tear that out, replace it with dirt later. Or now. Why not now? And then we'll extend that there as well. Okay, so we have that rolled through here. Oh yeah, we might actually want to put some of these in there as well. These are not like at a fixed distance or anything. I'm just getting a general vibe. Yeah, if B-Dubs wants to approach my area on horseback, this would be the way he'd do it. Okay. So did anybody have any thoughts on the final chapter? Normally people just start volunteering thoughts, but everybody's... Maybe it's because we're out of practice on reading books on stream. What do y'all think of this general setup? A mysterious man found on a sledge with only one living dog on an iceberg, broken off from the general mass of the North Pole. Interesting setup. Overdone. What do you think? Wondering Mass says, I'm deeply intrigued. Blue Rose Kelly says, I like it. Oh, I forgot I'm out of signs. Yeah, we need more signs. That's for sure. Champagne Jane says, they do like the someone transcribing a story someone else is telling thing. Well, so here's the thing about that. And this also happens in Thomas More's... This also happens in Thomas More's story, Utopia. The idea is that this was a mechanism to encourage the readers to suspend disbelief for particularly fantastic stories. Utopia is considered like a precursor to science fiction stories. And so by having... The idea is that Thomas More is retelling a story that was told to him by a Spanish explorer, right? And so it's like, okay, like, guys, this is going to sound crazy, but hear me out. This guy seems legit, right? Because genre wasn't as firmly developed then. And so, basically, people had to... Yeah. So, Monstar NZ says, this book is his story then. Yeah. So, the book, this has been the preface. This is introducing the guy that we're going to read about. Like, chapter 1. We're not going to read chapter 1 tonight, but it opens with, I am by birth a Genovese, and my family is one of the most distinguished of the Republic. My ancestors had been, for many years, counselors and syndics. My father had filled blah, blah, blah. But basically, the idea is we're introducing the point of view character for the main narrative with an external bookend that's more trustworthy. But, the idea is that this guy was out on the ice for a long time. This guy writing to his sister, the Captain Robert Walton or whatever, he is going to be trusted to not lie to his sister, but he might be deceived by his own desire for friendship and companionship. He might be too trusting because he wasn't book learned, or because he was self-taught, And so there's a lot going on where it's important to remember nowadays, if you open up a vampire story or a science fiction story, you already knew what you were getting. And there might be some twists, but genre is clearly defined in our age in a way that it wasn't back then. And so easing people into what kind of story a story would be was definitely an art. Okay. So, let's see. We're going to go ahead and do a hard refresh on tips. See if any have rolled in. Looks like we are all good for the night. We're actually 15 minutes over my intended target. And boy, I have a lot of work to do. I got a lot of editing to knock out. I got some more recording to do tomorrow. Yeah, even though it's a holiday, it's going to be go, go, go for a little bit. So, let's see. What are we doing? We are going to figure out who we are going to raid. I need to make sure Twitch is muted before I open it so I don't kill the VOD on this by accident. Okay, great, great, great. All right, it looks like What's Brewing Pinball is having a Bells and Chimes tournament. They are based in San Antonio, Texas. I've never been there, but I know some folks from the Texas pinball scene. So when you get over there, everybody be good. When you get over there, our raid message is, howdy y'all, Joe Hill's raid here. They are currently playing Mars Attack. Not Mars Attacks. What is it? Attack from Mars? Yeah, Attack from Mars. Which is a classic pinball machine a lot of you may be already familiar with. So, hope you all have a great time over there. Thanks again for joining me. Until next time, y'all. This is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee.